the master's programs, there was, I think, an agreement in the faculty when they started with this concept of study projects that theoretical knowledge is not enough and there should be the possibility to apply it. So in these team study projects, you don't only look at facts and knowledge, but you look at competences that graduates then should have. And then you think, okay, what kind of learning activities actually make sure that the students can learn these and develop these skills. So study projects are a method where you can combine several learning objectives.
The objectives are to plan, implement and report a research project in an interdisciplinary group. The second is to get competencies in team management, in communication, in moderation, so-called soft skills. And in this student project there is an additional component. And this is the relation to a real existing research project. So the students, on the one hand, they are making their student project. On the other hand, they are contributing to research in a consortium which works in southern China.
The research part involves a lot of organizational and coordination aspects that we did together with the local partner in the nature reserve, the rangers from the Nature Reserves Authority and NNR. We had a very good collaborator in this China Agriculture University, several students who worked together with us in the villages, helped us translate the interviews, brought in their own perspectives.
The process was quite complex. We started with a general analysis of the region and of the problem there, so rubber cultivation and how to make it sustainable. And then we tried to find a task for ourselves for our study project, and this was then to identify the stakeholders and to get to know them and the communication networks. And then when we had the objective, then we found some minor objectives, and then we prepared our interview guidelines according to our objectives and made interview guidelines for the stakeholders we thought were necessary to talk to. Yeah, and then we went to China and talked to them and did some preliminary analysis and also communicated our first results to the partners. And then we went back and wrote our analysis.
So I didn't really know anything about rubber before going on this trip, and it was really good to learn about the social aspects of how rubber affects the community and their entire dynamic, and then also the biological aspects of it were really cool to see once we got there what kind of diseases the trees got or potential problems in the future.
Life is better since they have rubber cultivations. They have the best, the most positive expectations. It is proof that they have a better life, and it was very interesting for me to see that.
I think the method of this type of study project is, well, it's based on problem-based learning, plus some elements of this client orientation or user orientation, and it's rather special and challenging. Problem-based learning is nothing new. This is being practiced in different ways. What I particularly like is the real focus on the teamwork and personal skills aspect, that we really train. We have a three-day training at the beginning with all the students, where they have, this is the only point where they really have to participate, all of them, to develop techniques for them to use later, for them to have a self-governing team. This, I think, is a real speciality.
In some aspects, we just guided the group in a way that we moderated discussions. In some aspects, we gave a little bit more input in terms of how to do, and in some aspects, we also were deciding and saying, okay, we are now have to follow a certain way.
The supervisor, we say, will not interrupt too much, but just give general guidelines. I think this is a challenge for such kind of student project.
We had to find and filter through and then analyze at the end and coordinate at the end. There's just so many aspects that it was difficult at sometimes to keep the objectives in focus.
Bringing together 12 people in a study project is also a big issue.
To go to a completely different country, to try to speak, I mean, we're speaking English, but then to have the two translations, it was a challenge.
I was the translator in the project, so I can just speak Mandarin and English. But especially in Chinese minority village, they even have their own minority language, so it's very complicated. And I also I'm worried about there is some information missing in the translation process.
I think that the biggest thing that I learned was how to work on a team, because during shorter study projects you take up a role and normally you have one role for the whole time. But for this study project, all of the group members ended up filling different roles at different times, and that was a really dynamic aspect. It was really cool to see how people could have different potentials that you didn't expect.
So I think it's very interesting, and we learn from each other. I think it's a very good experience for me. And if there are any chances, I would like to work in the international team.
I think about the content, I've learned a lot about just the region, China, a little bit about Chinese culture, and I've also learned a lot about how study projects work.
From this project, I learned how a group can get organized, how such a big group can get organized. I learned about how to develop stakeholder analysis, for example.
result of this student project, I think it's very good according to the objective, what they have stated at the beginning. And the student did excellent job, especially when they face a lot of difficulties, challenges and uncertainties.
Students know that their findings and their paper will be used in a real project. And the other thing is they got a lot of contacts, and they also had experiences with farmers on site, so it was really, all in all, it was really a great success. And the next step, we will use this report in order to make a publication for the project. In my opinion, we could have been more intensive in the preparation phase. It showed that the students did not have a clear understanding, so maybe it would be helpful to have a little bit more reading before.
What I would like to improve is making sure that the students get their first theoretical part written before they go to the field phase. Although they might read a lot, it's difficult for them to really write it down. And I noticed already in 2 study projects, it would really help them to write down first and then go for the field research, so that when they get back for the analysis, they have something to fall back on that they had already written.
I would like to, if we have such student project abroad, that the local students, the translator, it's better for them to involve in the project earlier, so that they can have comprehensive idea of the project and also contribute more.
I would maybe reduce the group size, because it was really hard to communicate to 12 people and to organize the work. And I would also consider to talk to the lecturers again, to tell them that in some group phases, in some process phases, we need some more help, especially in the beginning.
I will try to do more participatory research with the farmers, to try to get involved more with them, and to make them feel that they are not there just to answer our questions, to talk more with them, to ask them more about their lives, to go and walk with them.
So I think the next time, if you do the research in another country, especially in other countries' rural areas, you need to collect more background materials about the culture, so you can be more propelled and more confident to do your research.
I think such a study project is really vital to first create new knowledge, and also to be able to put this knowledge into practice. And I hope that in every curricula and in every study we could do something like this.